Welcome to part 3. Hmm. During part 2, it seemed like something bad was gonna happen. Hmm. Monday started off well, but during the second break in school, it was an angry Amaka that sat opposite Dotun at one of the tables. I don't believe it! Mrs. Adeloye is wicked. How can she say I got 50% on when I found all the words in the word search? Amaka said, her voice rising higher than normal. And the words weren't easy to find. I don't know, but shouting about it is not going to solve matters, Dalton said slowly, dropping his own voice. Did you ask her why? Of course I did, but I don't agree with her. Why not? Dalton was puzzled. I made it all nice and colorful instead of using a boring pencil. If you look at my work, you will say that it looked nice. Okay, I'll look at it when we get back to class. You don't have to wait until we get back to class. It's here with me. Amaka brought out the sheet of paper and handed it over to Dalton. Dalton nodded and smiled. The colors did make it look nice. It's nice, Dalton said slowly. Quite nice. You have an eye for art. Thank you, so you can see why I'm so angry. Yes, but... But what? You didn't follow the instructions given. It said you should circle the words. Maybe if you had used your markers to circle instead of highlight the words, it should have given you 100%. Hmm. But I'm not the only one who did it this way. Shade also highlighted hers. It was hers that I saw that made me do mine this way. Do you know what she scored? Well, Amaka didn't know what to say. You know what? Dawson said slowly. What has happened here reminds me of what we were taught at Iglesia on Thursday. Although the focus was on us obeying our parents, Mr. Corday mentioned the importance of following instructions properly. This is an example of what he mentioned. What do you mean? Dotsu summarized what had been discussed, and then he brought out a few major points. By the time he had finished, Amaka had calmed down considerably, but she still wasn't convinced. 3 days later, Big Ass and Maestro were in the hall with the few other children who had come early for the meeting. Big Ass was restless. She sat for a while and then walked around the hall, and then went back to her seat. She did this several times, and she began to get on Maestro's nerves. Big Ass, please sit down, Maestro said softly. I'm beginning to feel somehow with you walking up and down. I'm sorry, Maestro, I just can't help it. I'm looking forward to a hike that will take place within 2 weeks. Today we're going to be taught so many things that will help us to do well. True. However, you must remember that you'll learn better if you are calm. Big Ass paused and nodded. You're right. I need to calm down to get the best out of today's lecture. It's just that I can't be like you. You hardly show any emotion, and sometimes you sit so still, someone would think you're a statue. Maestro smiled a little. I know it's difficult for you to sit down for so long. Don't worry. I'm not expecting you to be like me. You are you. Just relax. The meeting will be starting in less than 5 minutes. Maestro looked around carefully. He still didn't see the person he had been hoping to see, Bidemi. He had an uncomfortable feeling that something was not right. The following week, Bidemi confirmed it. He had stood for what he felt was right, but his parents had given him their verdict. He was not going to join the rest of the group for the hike. He had felt bad about not going for the hike, but the bad feeling was not mainly because he would be missing the hike, but because his parents had decided to punish him. Maestro sensed this and tried to talk to him about it, but Bidemi did not want to listen. Meanwhile, the enemy, Wayward, that Maestro had sensed, had left Bidemi and gone to meet Charles. Charles was a friend of Bidemi. but he had not started attending Iglesia. Charles loved watching all sorts of videos on the internet. His favorite types were videos where people demonstrated things that were difficult to achieve. He had tried an experiment with matches once, but it hadn't worked out. His mom, seeing him that time, told him not to play with matches. At that time, he promised her that he wouldn't play with matches. But 2 weeks later, he saw another interesting video. The person had used many matches to build a structure that was supposed to burn like dominoes falling down. Charles took out of his allowance and went to many shops to buy matches. He started arranging the structure, and his parents were not aware, for they did not enter his room without permission, and they had no reason to suspect that he was doing anything wrong. We have come to the end of today's story. We'll continue next week. See you!